Good evening.
Welcome members, officers and members of the public viewing proceedings online to today's meeting. I will now ask the committee clerk, Vicky Roberts, to check that members and officers present virtually can see and hear us.
Okay, can you, Chair, start with yourself? Can you see and hear everybody?
I can see and hear everyone. Thank you, Vicky.
Councillor Sue Walker?
Yes, I can see and hear.
Councillor Lynnie Hinnigan?
See and hear everyone, thanks Vicky.
Councillor Billy Lake?
Yes, I can see and hear everybody.
Councillor Joanne Kushner?
Yeah, I can see and hear everybody.
Councillor George Knibb?
Yeah, I can see and hear everybody.
Councillor Kimberly Berry? Councillor Berry?
Yes, I can see and hear everyone.
Thank you. Councillor Lindsay Amelia?
Yeah, I can see and hear everyone.
Thank you. Councillor Sarah Doyle?
Yeah, I can see and hear everyone, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kay Davis?
Yeah, I can see and hear everybody.
Councillor Abdul Qadir?
I can see and hear everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Can I also ask Jane Wall, who is monitoring the live stream on the council website, to confirm that this is operating correctly?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd also remind members and officers to leave your microphones on mute during the meeting until you want to comment. In addition, can officers also turn off their webcams unless you are addressing the committee? Once a member has spoken, please ensure to mute your mic again so the audio remains clear. When members or officers do wish to speak, can you either use the hand up feature or by attracting my attention on the screen? When I do bring you in, please unmute your mic and say your name and allow a brief pause while we ensure you are visible on screen. Once you have spoken, please make sure to lower your hand also. Apologies. Can I advise members that apologies for absence have been submitted by Councillors Ros Gladden and Barbara Mace. Are there any further apologies? No. Okay, item 1, declarations of interest. Can I ask if members have any interest to declare relating to the item of business on the agenda? No. Item 2, minutes of the last meeting. Are the minutes of the meeting held on the 24th of February 2020 agreed as a true record?
Agreed.
Agreed. Are there any matters arising? I know it was a long time ago. No? Can we approve the minutes? Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Item 3, question time. Can I advise that no questions have been received? Item 4, cabinet member update. Can I invite Councillor Lynnie Hinnigan to provide her cabinet member update, please?
Thanks, Chair. Am I visible?
Yes.
Invisible. Okay, obviously because my report went out, I'm not sure whether people want me to go through the report or whether people just want to ask questions. I'm happy to just answer questions on the report if everyone's ready, or if not, I will go through it.
Thanks for that, Lynnie. Have members got any questions they'd like to ask on the cabinet members' report, rather than go with page by page? We are conscious that we need to sort of make sure the proceedings go quickly as possible without, stopping any debate. Have anybody got any questions? No? Therefore, can I move that the update be noted? Is that agreed? Yeah? Okay.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Item number 5 on the agenda, impact of COVID-19 on the housing market. Can I invite Darren Hardy to introduce the report as set out on pages 12 to 17 of the agenda? Over to you, Darren.
Members of the committee hear me? Yeah? Okay. Chair, I don't have much to add to the report. I mean, most of the information we have is in the report. Maybe just one update, really. We have now had the latest set of housing figures in terms of housing demand for sale. And July was one of the highest sale levels on record for about the past 10 years. So property is coming onto the market and property is selling very, very quickly at present. We do think that some of that is pent-up demand still from during when there was no property on the market, so April, May, or March, April, May. But also I think the cliff edge of the potential economic impact of COVID is still to be faced. So in the next few months, the government's furlough scheme will start to unwind. It's at that point in time that I think we'll start to see large numbers of people potentially becoming unemployed or losing significant amounts of hours, but that might then impact upon demand in the housing market. So the other thing that's happening from that last set of figures is there is greater demand for larger properties, which again we saw in the report, but we think might be the case, that there are people seeking larger homes because there's more people wanting to work from home. So some of the changes that we've seen in working patterns the past 4 or 5 months potentially becoming longer term. And Chair, I'll have to take any questions.
Okay. Do members have any questions for Darren? I can't see anybody's hand up. Or you can make, if you want to ask a question, you could raise your hand. No? Oh, well.
I can take difficult questions as well, Chair. That helps.
Yeah. It doesn't appear that we've got any questions, Darren. So can I move that the notes, we note the report? Is that agreed? Okay. Can we move on then to item number 6, homelessness? Can I invite Kath Wallace to introduce the report as set out on pages 18 to 25 of the agenda? Kath?
Thank you, Chair. Everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Hopefully people will have had a chance to read the report. I would just summarise the position, our current position in relation to our recovery from COVID. In relation to homelessness, we are still rehousing all service users who were placed in emergency accommodation following the closure of Labouré House and the Everybody In initiative. That continues to go very well. People will be aware that we have paused Property Pool Plus at the moment, and that decision is due for review next month. We are partway through the process of rehousing, but it is going very well. We are continuing to see, however, an increase in new presentations, and as Darren referenced within his report, you know, there is concerns that there will be increases in homelessness in relation to when the furlough scheme ends. However, we are aware that housing providers, or registered housing providers, are committed around preventing evictions wherever possible. So I don't intend to go further onto the report in any more detail. I'm happy to take any questions.
Kath, do members have any questions for Kath? No? Therefore, can I move that we note the report? Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Okay. Item number 7, evaluation of citywide selective licensing scheme 2015 to 20. Can I invite Louise Connolly to introduce the report as set out on pages 26 to 66 of the agenda? Louise?
Thank you, Chair. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you. So I certainly don't intend to go over this report in any great detail. It's been provided with an overview, a summary and points to take going forward. Key milestones and impacts of our citywide licensing scheme are covered, quite detailed, with 5 case studies highlighting the types of work that we get involved with in terms of licensing, regulating the private rented sector and dealing with unlicensed properties as well. So I think, you know, it's quite a substantive report. Hopefully members will have been able to read that. At the end of the report, there is obviously a note about the consultation that is currently being undertaken from the 3rd of August to the 26th of October, and that is detailing several proposals for a further designation for the council to look at. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Louise. Do members have any questions? Yeah, I think Abdul, did you want to ask a question first, and I'll bring in Billy then?
Abdul, Mike.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Right. Okay. It just didn't want to work for me, but thanks for the report. Really comprehensive, and really looking forward to it being confirmed, hopefully, and we can move on with it. One of the questions I have is on the financial kind of contributions by landlords. I've seen that there is different categories, but what my only concern was with regards to having a set fee for 5 years. What happens if a new landlord comes in at the end of the scheme where they're only paying for 2 months or 3 months? They will be required, according to what I understand from that, to pay the full amount. Is there any way of them being able to have a discount on that? And is that reasonable in terms of the request for a couple of months as opposed to a landlord who's been for 5 years?
Thank you, Councillor. The fees currently that we're consulting on, you're quite right, is for the duration of a licence at whichever point you apply for one within the scheme. It's really important that we get feedback like that, and whether or not we're able to review the fees and look at pro-ratering them. The point of the fee has got to be self-financing for both the application side and the enforcement side. So each licence holder pays a small amount into that pot, if you like. And so at whatever stage you come into the scheme, that is currently costed out as the complete licence fee. But happy to see if there's any way that we can look at pro-rata fees. We've been unable to do it in the past, but it's something that we've looked at. And again, it's all about fairness, isn't it? And I take your point. We don't want to penalise landlords for coming newly into the market, but this is why we've offered an early bird discount this time on the fees. But it's something that we would really be happy to look at, and it's something that should be put in formally via the consultation route, and that will be explored, definitely.
Louise, does that answer your question, Abdul? You have to unmute. You're on mute, Abdul.
Yeah, it's very slow at reacting, unfortunately, so I don't know when it's on or off. Totally accept that answer. Yeah, I think one of the ways maybe forward, I know there will be some kind of admin charge that we will have to take on to set up the on our system. So maybe a thing should be is just charging that fee as a base, and then depending on how many months is remaining, then maybe we can look at having a fair and equal way of looking at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Lake?
Yes, hello Louise. Thank you very, very much for this report. Very fulsome, and I think really heartening to see that we are coming up with an alternative, if you like, to the sadly demised landlord licensing scheme. So thank you for that. I have got just a couple of questions about it overall, but just to start with the consultation, how wide do you want this consultation to be? We've included the links onto our email loop, which in itself reaches out to, you know, many people. We are, and I think I mentioned this to you last time about the landlord licensing scheme, we are going to include details of this report, or if you like, we're going to let our residents know about it in street letters, because we have large areas of the ward which are streets where there are many landlorded properties. So we can give you one hell of a consultation if you want it. You know, how wide ranging do you want that to be?
First of all, thank you for that, Councillor. The whole point of a consultation is to ensure that everybody that could potentially be impacted by a new scheme is able to understand what's going on and has a way of communicating their feelings about it. It's also set out in case law what we have to do, and as well in legislation. So my view is absolutely 100% every resident, business, stakeholder, neighbouring authority, you know, partners, a third sector charity, or everyone that has got an interest in the city needs to have the opportunity to consult. And apart from on the ground sort of getting residents' views and landlords' views, we also conduct, well, ORS, who's the independent provider of the consultation, they do far wider consultations with focus groups, residents. They also, you know, contact various other organisations. So that part's covered. We also write to the chief execs of our local city regional authorities, the registered providers that will also be impacted. Landlords are told, you know, via various routes through council tax and housing benefits. So I think, you know, anyone that's impacted, you know, they need to have the opportunity to A, understand what's happening, and B, make sure that they have the opportunity to consult. We can provide hard documents as well. The information's on the website, so that's not a problem. But yes, it's, you know, the wider the consultation, the more beneficial it'll be for the City Council when it's making its decision on what should happen going forward. So the wider, the better, as you know, anyone that's impacted at all, really.
Yeah. Okay.
Councillor Morton, did you have a question? Do you have your hand up? No. Okay. Can I just ask, you know, in relation to some of the case studies, and you know, it's been really successful. I mean, didn't you say that you got a task force looking at some of these issues in ASB? Where in my other hat, when we go to planning and we have HMO applications, there's always lack of evidence to ASB. I'm just wondering, would that evidence be available to ward councillors so that they could submit that in relation to certain applications?
I would assume that you know, a straightforward FOI might be doable, whether or not ward members have other ways of requesting information, but a generalised view on how many complaints for ASB has been received about a given property, I'm almost certain that's quite straightforward to ask. It's sort of an FOI-able. But having said that, you know, the two departments do work closely together anyway. So if that department was to ask for that information as well, that wouldn't really be an issue, I don't think, given numbers out. So yeah, no problem, Chair.
Louise, do members have any other questions for Louise? No? Okay, can I move that we note the report? Is that agreed? Okay. Item 8, notice of motion, Airbnb. Motion submitted by Councillor Alan Tormey. Can I invite Councillor Tormey to formally move the motion and speak if he wishes to do so?
Thanks very much, Tony. Can you hear me okay? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, obviously I don't need to read the motion because it's obviously in front of everyone at the moment. So yeah, I would like to move the motion, please, if that's okay. Thank you.
Okay. Therefore, I would like to move an amendment which has been circulated to all members of the committee. Can I ask somebody, are they prepared to second the amendment, please?
I will move the second it.
Can I just say in relation to the amendment that this was obviously discussed some time ago and it's been brought back, but previous to that there had been a motion to full council by Councillor Robertson Collins, and I think it's although the Airbnb market and hospitality in particular has been really affected by COVID, I think, and we'll have to see what the effects of that, you know, when we go back to normal, whatever normal is. But I think that it's only right that we take into account concerns by local residents, and I think the amendment covers that point. And we've asked those questions again, even though that we've got a new Secretary of State. So can I move the amendment then? It's been seconded. Is there any objection? Okay. Can we move on then to item 9, Preventing Modern Slums by Councillor Alan Tormey. Can I ask Councillor Tormey to formally move the motion and speak if he wishes to do so?
Thanks very much for that. Yeah, I'll formally move the motion, and there's obviously it's all in writing there, so there's no need to discuss it further. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I would like to move an amendment, and the amendment has been emailed to members of this committee this afternoon by Vicky. Could I ask somebody to second the amendment, please?
Again, I can second that.
Okay. Would anybody like to speak? I mean, what I've moved there, obviously we know that permitted development rights were brought in 2013 by the coalition governments, and some of the loopholes that we see now are a consequence of that. And the amendment really calls for that permitted development rights to be scrapped. And we also know that the government have recently outlined changes to the planning laws in the country, and I think it will have dire consequences for this city and the country. And I know that, you know, we will, as an authority, I think, be making our views clearly known to them. So, are there any other speakers who'd like to speak? Or can we go? Abdul, would you like to speak?
Yeah, I'd just like to echo what you've just said in terms of this current government and its approach to planning and planning reform, as they call it, which is, to me, a bizarre way of taking the right of our residents to have a say and giving them less democratic to deal with in their bonfire that they keep talking about. So what they're stripping away is the actual democratic right of residents, and especially residents in areas such as Picton, where it is heavily impacted on due to the fact of permitted development rights that are so watered down to the extent that it's more to the favour of the developer than the interest of the community and the city. I see this approach by the government as like reconstructing a flat pack furniture with no manual and hoping for the best. that is their seems to be their kind of logic and approach to these kind of things. So definitely like to support this amendment.
Thanks, Abdul. Is the amendment agreed? Are there any members objecting? No? Okay, thank you. Our last item on the agenda, re-establishment of the scrutiny panel. Members will be aware that at the Select Committee meeting on the 6th of January 2020, building effective partnerships with the social housing sector scrutiny panel was established. Due to time constraints and the lockdown, this scrutiny panel didn't meet in the last municipal year. Can we confirm the re-establishment of the scrutiny panel and ask Democratic Services to arrange the first meeting of the panel? Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Well, I think I can close the meeting now and thank members and officers for attending. I think it's run really smoothly. So thank you for attending, and I wish you a pleasant evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.